Alright, so what we're going to do today is replace a strut, which is right back there, on the right hand side or the passenger side of your car. Alright, so the first thing that you're going to do is, while the car is on the ground and you do not have it jacked up in the air, you want to loosen, don't take them off, but loosen your lug nuts. That's the very first thing. Then what we're going to do is we're going to jack up your car in the air and then go ahead and remove your lug nuts and your tire and rim. Alright, let's go ahead and remove the tire and rim. And that right back there, that is your strut. Alright, so the next thing that we're going to do is take this nut off here. We're going to take the nut off down here. There's two, 1 and 2. And then that's the 18 millimeter socket that you're going to be using right there. The other thing too is I'm doing it where I actually moved my floor jack over to go up underneath the control arm itself. And then I put the jack stand under the frame. And that way I have more control over my shock, what I want it to do. Now, the other alternative is to go in and get a spring compressor. You can rent them. If you have an AutoZone close by, then you can rent those and they're free. It's a free rental. Also, to point out, this is a really good time to look at different parts on your vehicle in this area. I mean, here's your tie rod. Look at that, it's torn up. Good time to replace it. You know, this is starting to crack here. And if you see some stuff, if you don't have the money to do it, just write it down that you need to do this in the future. But it's a great time to change it out. All right, now that I've removed the nuts off here, and there's still some tension on there, so I mean, it is a really good idea to get that spring compressor, because then you can pull, you know, it clamps around here and here, and then what you do is you tighten it up with a socket, and then it pulls pressure off of this point here and up top. Now what I'm doing is I actually just put my floor jack underneath it, and then I've added some pressure upward. So if you have a floor jack, that works also. So I added some pressure on it, and then what I'm doing now, I'm not taking these bolts out yet. And then what I'm going to do is come up here. I'm going to take off these. These are 13 millimeter. So I'm going to go ahead and remove these. And then I can pull, you know, let the jack down, and it pulls pressure off of it. And it should have no tension at all on it. All right, and so as you drop it down, you'll see that it just drops down. It relieves all the tension off of there. And there you go. So now you can go ahead and remove these two bolts here, and then just take this whole thing out. Not too difficult, so let's get the new one in. All right, so one more thing to point out here before you take out your shock. Now, there's no tension on it at all right now, and to get these bolts out here, you're gonna have to take and sometimes they have a pressed in fit. And so if you notice here, this has a double. So what you're gonna have to do is stick your nut back on and just get it so it's flush at the end, because you do not want to bung up the threads at all. So if you just hit it straight on without having the nut on there, it's going to damage your threads, and then you're going to have to fix that up, clean those threads up a little bit. So go ahead and now you can hit on the end of here until you drive it out. And once that's popped out, you can go ahead and just pull them out, and then your whole shock will come right out. All right, so your two bolts are out, and now we can just go ahead and you just have to pop it out like that, and then go ahead and take out your old, there's your old strut. And then before you put it in, compare, make sure that it's the right one before you go reinstalling it. But anyways, it's not that difficult. All right, so here is the new strut that we're going to be installing, and then you just want to match it up, make sure that everything does look the same. A couple things on this is a little bit different. The boot actually is different, but that doesn't make a difference. Additional eyelet right here, which doesn't make a difference either, but everything else is the same, the length. And also another thing, when you're replacing one side, you should do the other side. They do sell them separately, but do them as a pair, just like bricks, same thing. All right, so the easiest way is to feed this in first and then hook down your shock tower right here, and then you just want to put your nuts on. Don't tighten them down, just get them good and cinch down, you know, like hand tight. And then what we want to do, because that way you can still move it around and all that, and then what we're going to do is bring your control arm up to the points where the bolts go through. So I'm just going to take my floor jack and jack it up, and then we can just feed the bolts in through there. All right, so there you go. And it's really not a difficult job at all, but what we're doing now is going to take and we're going to hit this side of it with a hammer just to get these seated down, both of them, and then we'll go ahead and tighten these up, and then we're going to jump up top, and then we'll go ahead and cinch all these down. See, now the tension's being put up, and so I'll be right back. All right, so go ahead and tighten these up. Tighten this one up here, and also don't forget the 3 on top. Go ahead and tighten these up. Next, we're going to go ahead and put the tire and rim back on because you're done. All right, so now we are done installing the tire and rim. Go ahead and get it as tight as you can up in the air, and then what we'll do is set it back down on the ground so you can get more tension on it, and then we're going to go ahead and torque down these lug nuts. The other thing too is when you tighten them up, you want to tighten straight across like this. So do not go around this way. You want to go from here to here, from here to here. All right, so we have the car back down on the ground. We're going to go ahead and use a torque wrench to torque your lug nuts. Again, go in a cross pattern from here to here. And I'm going to list, following this, I will list where you can get all your torque specifications for all years, makes, models. I use this all the time. So hopefully this video helped you out. Please give me a thumbs up, hit the like button, and I'll see you on the next one.